One hit from the 70s. Remember when this track first got you out on the dance floor? Or when this other one was blasting from every radio? Tunes like these packed the discos, the airwaves, and living rooms everywhere, but then, just like that, they vanished for good. Today we're hopping back to the 70s, that decade when even a single smash could turn some nobody into a short-lived legend you'll never forget. And we'll see how, half a century later, it still gets your foot tapping or makes you close your eyes for a second. 15. Substitute by Clout. In the 70s, while everybody was looking to London, New York, or LA for the next big thing, an all-girl band from South Africa came crashing in with a force that totally caught us off guard. Clout was a band made up entirely of women, back when that was pretty rare, especially in rock. And their hit Substitute wasn't even originally theirs. It had been recorded years earlier by the Righteous Brothers, but the girls gave it a whole new vibe. Fresher, more passionate, freer. Their lead singer, Cindy Alter, belted it out with a tone that seemed to touch your heart. And behind that catchy melody was a story of defiance. Women carving out a path in a guy-dominated industry from a country still stuck under the harsh apartheid regime. Her voice crossed borders, hit Europe, America, and Asia. For a few months, Clout stood for way more than just a song. It was hope, rebellion, beauty in the middle of tough times. Before we keep going, we'd love to get to know you a bit better. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. Let's roll on. 14. Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas. Few songs nail the fun, carefree vibe of the 70s quite like this one. Kung Fu Fighting started out almost as a joke. Carl Douglas cut it in just 10 minutes as filler for the B-side of a single, but fate had other ideas. This was the era when martial arts flicks, led by Bruce Lee, were packing theaters worldwide. The quick moves, the battle cries, the whole Eastern fashion trend, it was all the rage. Douglas got it, and with a dash of humor, he whipped up a dance anthem nobody could sit out. The track hit #1 on the charts in the US and UK and sold millions of copies. The funny part? Douglas himself never managed to top it, even though he tried. But maybe that's the magic of one-hit wonders. They show up, get you grooving, and bounce before you can forget them. Just one line was enough to stick in everybody's heads forever. Hit that like if you ever dance to this song. 13. Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry. If you ever hit a 70s party, you definitely heard this riff. A killer guitar, a bass line you can't resist, and a white guy trying to sound soulful. Wild Cherry was a rock band that just couldn't click with crowds. Until one night, playing a packed club, somebody yelled from the audience, "Play something funky, white boys." And that line changed everything. Rob Parisi, the band's frontman, took it in stride and wrote a song about that moment. And Play That Funky Music blew up right away. It was funky, yeah, but it had that rock edge that set it apart. Over the years, the song outlasted trends and styles. It's still a must-play on any 70s classics playlist. Cause nothing sums up the decade better than a dance floor packed with people getting down to the funk. 12. Boogie Oogie Oogie by A Taste of Honey. It was 1978. Disco fever was at its peak. Mirror ball lights bouncing off shiny pants and crazy hairdos. And out of nowhere, that unforgettable bass line kicked in, backing the voices of Janice Marie Johnson and Hazel Payne, two black women ready to make history. Boogie Oogie Oogie wasn't just a massive hit. It was a celebration of music as freedom. Janice Marie's bass set the groove, while the vocals dared you to ditch the shyness and hit the floor. Thanks to this iconic track, they snagged the Grammy for Best New Artist, and for a while, it looked like they had the world in their hands. But like a lot of one-hit wonders, the spotlight faded fast. Still, that song remains a symbol of girl power in an era when owning the dance floor was practically a religion. 11. Hot Child in the City by Nick Gilder. The second we heard that sleek, mysterious rhythm with a hint of danger, we were hooked. Nobody guessed the guy behind the hit was Nick Gilder, a skinny Canadian with a high-pitched voice. He'd fronted a band called Sweeney Todd, but going solo was when he struck gold. The song drew from Hollywood Nights, young girls chasing fame, and ending up lost in lights and empty promises. Despite its smooth, melodic flow, the lyrics touched on something darker, almost tragic. Maybe that's why it hit home so hard. Behind the glamour, we all sensed the 70s had a shadowy side too. It climbed to #1 on Billboard and played on every FM station, blending pop and glam that defined the decade's end. But Gilder never matched that impact again. His star burned out quick, though he left a sound that still smells like leather, wet streets, and impossible dreams. You Make Me Feel Mighty Real by Sylvester. You know a song's killer when it doesn't just make you dance, it sets you free. And in the 70s, Sylvester was a pro at crafting those anthems. Disco ruled the floors back then, but personal freedom still hit a lot of walls. Sylvester, with his powerhouse voice and androgynous style, set out to smash 'em all, and he did, cause that track was pure energy, pure realness. You Make Me Feel Mighty Real was his only big international smash, but it was enough to make him a legend. Behind the glitter, synths, and neon lights was a statement of identity. Sylvester sang it loud, "This is me, and I'm not hiding." In clubs around the world, his voice filled the air like a disco prayer. Every note begged you to drop the fear and just be. When that song plays, you can't help but feel your spirit lift off the ground a little. He passed young, but his legacy lives on. Deep down, we all want to feel real and wildly alive, even if it's just for a few minutes on the dance floor. 9. Magnet and Steel by Walter Egan. Walter Egan was a California kid with a dreamer's soul. Back then, soft rock sounds mixed with harmonies that floated in the air. Inspired by a woman's glance, Egan penned this gem that takes us back to the best summer days and first crushes, Magnet and Steel. It was produced by Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac, and Stevie Nicks added her whispery backing vocals, barely there, but magical. That combo created a vibe that captured a whole generation. No surprise, the song climbed the charts, and Egan was the guy of the moment. But like so many one-hit wonders, the fame didn't last. Still, Magnet and Steel etched itself into the memories of anyone who's ever cruised the coast with the windows down, wind in their face, heart beating to that tune, proving sometimes one song's all it takes to remember what falling in love feels like. What other one-hit wonder comes to mind? Drop it in the comments. 8. Dancing in the Moonlight by King Harvest. Before disco exploded, the 70s had a brighter side, and Dancing in the Moonlight is one of those tracks that brings back sweet memories from the early days of the decade that changed music forever. King Harvest was a band of American musicians living in Paris. Maybe that's why their sound had that easygoing, almost European feel. The song came from a wild story. Keyboardist Sherman Kelly wrote it after surviving a brutal attack. Instead of going dark, he dreamed up an ideal world where folks dance under the moonlight. No fear, no pain. And you feel that in the warm, upbeat, infectious melody. Hearing it now is like flipping through an old photo. It brings back the calm, the joy of a more innocent time. 7. Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass. If you've ever fallen for someone who couldn't stick around, you'll get this song. Brandy tells the tale of a young harbor barmaid who falls for a sailor. He loves her, but the sea's his true love. Simple story, but told with a tenderness that still hits. Looking Glass wasn't a big-name band back then, just some college kids who took a shot with this track and ended up ruling radios worldwide. Its gentle melody stuck in the hearts of anyone dreaming of impossible romances. At the time, it was one of the most played songs on US stations, and over the years, it became a soft rock classic. Every time that chorus hits, it's like time freezes for a beat. There's something in that voice, that nostalgia, that reminds us how fragile love can be and how eternal it becomes in a song. 6. Fooled Around and Fell in Love by Elvin Bishop. Elvin Bishop was just a blues guitarist, but in the 70s, he'd prove he could craft anthems that'd stick around in music history forever. Fooled Around and Fell in Love was his big swing, but get this, he didn't even sing it. That was Mickey Thomas, a young guy with a smooth voice who'd later join Starship, something we didn't know back then. It was that voice that turned a simple ballad into an unforgettable story. Bishop wrote it about his own surprise, a guy who'd spent his life dodging commitment until he accidentally fell hard. A spot a lot of us might have been in back then, when love and freedom went hand in hand. Beyond the hit, what makes it special is its honesty. 'Cause let's face it, we've all had that moment where we swore off love until somebody flipped the script. 5. Moonlight Feels Right by Starbuck. The title alone spills the truth, and Moonlight Feels Right was one of those melodies that snuck up quiet but left a memory that still feels fresh today. Starbuck, the band behind the hit, were Southern guys from Atlanta more into creating vibes than breaking records. In the thick of funk and heavy rock, they went for something different. A classy, laid-back sound with that standout xylophone solo that felt out of this world. The song was about a seaside date, that magic when the moon hits the water and anything seems possible. Maybe that's why it connected. In the 70s, when life moved a little slower, we all had a night like that burned in our brains. Today, Moonlight Feels Right is still that sonic postcard of an endless summer, a time when a look, a song, and the moon made everything click. 4. Rock the Boat by the Hughes Corporation. Before disco took over the world, one song lit the fuse, and it was called Rock the Boat, one of the first to push that infectious beat to the top of the charts. Almost by accident, the Hues Corporation kicked off a new genre. They weren't famous, didn't even have a major label, but when they recorded this, magic happened. It was bright, joyful, with a party spirit that hinted at what was coming on dance floors in the years ahead. The lyrics seemed straightforward, a love story rocking like a boat at sea, but what really grabbed you was the energy, that call to move, to go with the flow. Soon, it hit #1 in the US and was one of the first disco tracks to do it. The Hues Corporation never repeated the success, but Rock the Boat sparked a musical revolution that defined the decade. Subscribe to the channel if you want us to dive into one-hit wonders from your favorite decade. 3. The Night Chicago Died by Paper Lace. While some artists got us dancing, bands like Paper Lace turned songs into mini-movies you could dive into with every note. The Night Chicago Died spins a yarn about the roughest Chicago imaginable, packed with crime, danger, and darkness during Al Capone's days. But here's the kicker. None of the band members had ever set foot in Chicago. It all came from their imagination, fueled by gangster flicks filling the theaters. The result was an epic tale with a marching beat and a chorus you can't shake. Folks sang along even though the story was made up. That was the era's charm. Songs didn't have to be real to feel true. It sold millions. Though not everybody in Chicago was thrilled, local historians griped about the lyrics' mistakes. But nobody cared. It wasn't about facts, it was about the feels. 2. Magic by Pilot. Magic by Pilot is one of those songs that sounds so natural, like it's always been around. With its upbeat rhythm and bright tone, it was a breath of fresh air in a decade, flipping between heavy rock and late psychedelia. Get this, guitarist and singer David Payton had worked tech for Alan Parsons, and you can hear that polished, clean influence. Those details gave the song pure joy, pure hope. Magic was the kind of hit that tagged along on sunny days, first loves, aimless road trips. Decades later, Pilot's track popped up in movies, ads, even big pop culture moments. Let's be real, we all have a song that reminds us life can still feel magical sometimes. 1. Driver's Seat by Sniff and the Tears. Toward the end of the decade, as disco started fading, a different song showed up. More thoughtful, more modern, almost ahead of its time. Driver's Seat came from a British band called Sniff and the Tears. Their sound didn't quite fit the scene. Clean guitars, a melancholic voice, an atmosphere that spoke straight to your soul. The track was about control, grabbing the wheel of your own life, and in the 70s, a time of big changes, that idea hit hard. Weirdly, it wasn't an instant smash. It took time to catch on, but when it did, it became a classic. Moderate sales, but huge in meaning. Driver's Seat was the final breath of the great 70s one-hit wonders. A perfect wrap to a decade that taught us one song at the right moment can stick with you for life. And that's the end of our trip. We'll drop a video here with another list of old school tunes if you want to keep reliving the nostalgia. Catch you next time.